Medical disclaimer. The information presented in this channel is for educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical diagnostic or prescribing procedures.
Understanding Fats, Part 3. Saturated fats. The chemical structure of a saturated fatty acid exhibits each carbon bonding to the adjacent carbon with single bonds. Each carbon is also bonded to two hydrogen atoms. Is a molecule without empty spaces. Saturated fats differ from unsaturated fats because they are usually solid at room temperature. Saturated fats do not have double bonds, and thanks to this characteristic, they are excellent cooking fats. They are more stable in the presence of oxygen, and this makes them more resistant to high temperatures. Benefits of saturated fats. 1. Improve cardiovascular risk factors. Did you know that the heart is wrapped in a muscle made up of saturated fat? The heart, unlike other muscles, has almost no glycogen stores. Fatty acids are the heart's main fuel, far above glucose. 2. Strengthen bones. Saturated fat is needed to incorporate calcium into your bones. According to one of the most advanced researchers of fat and human health, Dr. Mary Enig, Ph.D., it is important to consume up to 50% of dietary fats in the form of saturated fat. 3. Improves liver health. Saturated fat has been shown to protect the liver from the effects of alcohol and medications, including acetaminophen and other drugs commonly used for pain and arthritis. 4. Lung health. To function properly, the spaces of the lungs must be covered with a thin layer of surfactants. The fat content of these surfactants is made up of 100% saturated fat. Replacing these critical saturated fats with other types of fat degenerates this surfactant and can potentially cause breathing difficulties. 5. Brain health. The brain is primarily made up of fat and cholesterol. Most of those fats are saturated. A diet lacking in saturated fat robs the brain of the basic materials for its optimal functioning. Did you know that the brain is made up of more than 60% saturated fat? 6. Proper nerve communication. Certain saturated fats such as those from butter, lard, coconut and palm oil function directly as signaling messengers that influence metabolism, including the critical work of proper insulin release. 7. Strength of the immune system. Saturated fats such as lauric and myristic acid from butter and coconut oil play a key role in immune health. The loss of enough saturated acids in white blood cells reduces the ability to recognize and destroy invaders such as viruses, bacteria, and fungi. One fallacy that persists to this day is the idea that saturated fats increase the risk of heart disease and heart attacks. It's another myth that has been harming human health for the past 50 years or more. The truth is that saturated fat, animal or vegetable, provides the basic building blocks of cell membranes, a variety of hormones and other related substances. By ingesting a small amount of saturated fat at each meal, it slows absorption and makes it easier to go longer without feeling hungry. Saturated fats are also the heart's preferred fuel. Antiviral, caprylic acid. Anticaries, antiplaque and antifungal, lauric acid. Modulates gene regulation, butyric acid. If the fact that saturated fats are actually good for your health sounds like a conflict in relation to how they are viewed by public health agencies, and you still have doubts, you need to read classic articles on this topic, such as the one by the authors, Mary Enig and Sally Fallons, The Truth About Saturated Fats, a comprehensive article on the subject, short and concise. Find link in the description. Science has shown that saturated fats are healthy and not a risk factor for heart disease. The truly harmful fats are polyunsaturated vegetable oils due to their instability. In European countries where the highest amount of saturated fat is consumed, they have the lowest risk of cardiovascular disease. The obesity epidemic in North America began at the same time that the low-fat dietary guidelines were published in the 1970s. Fats consumption graph. Human diseases began to increase when butter and lard were replaced with vegetable oils and margarines. Human diseases began to increase. You may want to replace polyunsaturated fats, especially linoleic acid, LA, omega-6, with a balanced amount of saturated fats. The PUFAs are stored and accumulated, whereas saturated fats are burned for energy. It can take up to 7 years to clear LA from your body due to its long half-life. PUFAs accumulated in your cells is believed by experts, one of the greatest contributors to chronic and degenerative diseases of all kinds, as they wreak havoc with your cellular machinery and impair mitochondrial function, and hence reduce energy production. Saturated fats and, in a small proportion, monounsaturated fats are preferentially oxidized. In contrast, polyunsaturated fats are stored in the cells. Conclusion. Moderation is always the key to healthy living. Polyunsaturated fats should be limited to small amounts, preferably consuming nuts that have not developed rancidity. Omega-6 linolenic acid should be avoided. Omega-3 should be consumed in small amounts by eating 2 or 3 times a week, the recommended fish in Part 1 of the series. Monounsaturated fats from olives, avocado and macadamia should be consumed in small amounts. Saturated fats, particularly butter, should replace polyunsaturated fats, as recommended is this Part 3. Moderation is always the key to healthy living.
If you like the contents offered in this channel, please support the channel by subscribing, and also by sharing the channel with friends and family. Thank you.